John, what drew you to this project?
Sorry?
What drew you?
The name, the title, Kong. Since I was a child, it's almost been a part of my childhood. It's almost part of our myth in Western culture. It takes me back to my childhood.
Talking about that, which was the movie that impacted you the most of all the Kong movies before this one?
Oh, the first one. Yeah, very much so. Because, as a child, that was as good as it got. That was probably my first experience with dinosaurs. It just, made you want to believe in it.
You play a really interesting character who people don't believe and who ends up being right.
Yeah. Well, he was scarred. He was formed by these creatures when he was a young man in the United States Navy. He ran across one of these creatures who wrecked his ship and killed his crewmates, and he spent the rest of his life trying to obsessively prove that these things exist.
But what drives him to go back there? Do you think he knows what he's doing?
No, but all he knows is he's got to find these creatures, where they're from. I don't know exactly that he knows what he wants to do when he finds them, but he just, I think, wants to prove to himself that he's not nuts.
How did you prepare the role?
I just thought about what this guy had gone through in the Navy, basically, and then let it roll from there.
And what was the experience like of acting opposite these monsters, let's call them, that aren't really were there?
It's more technical than I'd like it to be, but you have to put your eyes in a certain place, and then we'll talk you through where to do that. And then the rest is your own imagination, and you try to break that down into smaller sizes so you can believe it.
Let's talk about acting opposite some of the ones that were there, and some of them are extraordinary, like Samuel L. Jackson. You have a great scene with him.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
That was probably the highlight of the film for me, was working with him. I have enormous respect for him, his talent and his what he's become in our films.
And how do the two of your characters get along? He seems like a more pragmatic man.
They don't. My guy is a dreamer, and he's dragged people along. He hasn't told them the entire truth. And for Sam's character to function, he needs the truth. He needs to know the parameters of a situation so he can go in and destroy it.
I love it. Speaking of dreamers, I love Corey Hawkins, who plays your associate.
Yeah.
What a great kid. What a talented actor.
Yeah, he was great to hang with, and I got to see him a couple of weeks ago in New York, and it was nice to see him.
What can you say about other great actors that you play here, whether it's Bree or Tom? What a great cast.
Yeah, Tom has a lot. I have a lot of respect for him too. He's very versatile and very energetic, and he's a terrific actor. And Bree, it's great to see her coming along, and somebody that's as passionate as she is about telling stories. It's so much fun to watch her.
Your character must have been fun to play, because there's humor there too, right?
Yeah, he's a pretty humorless guy, but he has a wry sense of humor. But he's pretty obsessive about what he needs.
How was the experience of shooting on location, actually being in Vietnam?
It was brilliant. The point where it got me out of an American winter. The only hard part was being away from home for so long, but because we were away from home, we couldn't leave anywhere. We kind of bonded.
And how physically demanding was that process?
Not for me. It wasn't bad. No. It was all right. I mean, but I didn't have to run around that much.
What memories did you bring back of Vietnam?
Wanting to go back. The fact that they were so welcoming to us was wonderful and very touching.
At the end of the day, the movie takes place at the end of the Vietnam War, a very specific moment in time that I think has a lot of relevance to the story. Do you think so too?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a case of man trying to stamp nature and people into what he believes and what he thinks they should do, as opposed to, well, it's the two different ways of fighting that war. We went into a situation where we tried to dominate, and they adapted nature to defeat us.
And it's also, I mean, overall, I think this is a very fresh take on a classic tale that really works.
Oh, good.
Did you see it that way too? As
Yes,
a
I
fresh
did.
take?
Yeah, and I'm glad it works. There's always a risk.
There is always a risk, but I think it's good to be in the hands of a filmmaker that knows.
Yeah, it is. He certainly had a vision, and he implemented it very well.
You worked with some great directors in your career. This is a young, talented filmmaker. This is his second movie.
Yeah.
What can you say specifically about it?
That's extremely impressive. Like I say, he had his vision. He stuck with it with a lot of good humor and tenacity.